Hello and welcome to What a Week That Was, where we discuss what is going on in the world and we debate it, or rather I talk about it and then you chip in if you disagree with anything that you see, which to be fair most of the time most people do, but that's fine. We don't have an issue with that because that's what we're all here for. We can all disagree about things and agree about things at the same time. So what's the big news this week? Well, I'll tell you one thing that's happened this week, which moderately amused me. There's not much of that, I'll be honest. It's to do with our everyone's favourite singer. That, of course, is Ed Sheeran. They're right, aren't they? People do look sexier in a mask. I mean, not much, if at all. But anyway, he's been done for plagiarism, where basically people say that a song that he sang and got a big hit from, made loads of money from, was basically a blatant rip-off of a song that someone else wrote originally, and he just kind of went along and stole it, the whole tune and everything, and they're doing him for it, which is very sad because, let's be honest, no, it's not actually, I don't care. Another thing I don't really care about, but is interesting nonetheless, is I wasn't aware this was a thing. It was years and years ago, but not so much recently. And this is where you go to a shop with items, and you use the items that you take to put the stuff you're buying from the shop into. So, for example, a jar or a bag or something, and you literally tip it down and it goes into the thing, and then you pay for what you've got. And the whole point of it is there's no packaging being produced by the manufacturers apart from a massive bag that the stuff comes in anyway, and then it distributes into your little utensil. And it seems like a good idea, apart from, well, everything I could think of, including hygiene. I mean, let's be honest, at the moment COVID is on a massive comeback. Saw that coming. But more of that later. General colds, flu and things like that. Pick and mix. You know, people. I've seen kids put their hand in the pick and mix, pick a sweet up, not like it, and put it back in the pick and mix again. These things are not hygienic. We need to be more hygienic with food. Anyway, turns out these shops in London and places like that are all closing down now because people are not using them anymore. Oh, shame. Shame, shame, shame. I'm very sad about it. But don't forget, join in. Another thing we've got was a rather large earthquake, needs to make that a bit bigger, in China. And look where it's next to. That's right, the nuclear power station that nearly blew up, well, did blow up in China after the tsunami from a few years ago, where there's still lots of areas that are contaminated too much for people to go into or be there for any length of time. And there was another massive earthquake, 7.8 I think it was on the Richter scale. Lots of damage to houses and things. Tremors felt Tokyo and further away, so it was a pretty huge earthquake, but thankfully there were no tsunamis and no further damage to the Fukushima nuclear power station, which was a big relief for everyone, including me, even though I don't live there. If you watch football, you'll have seen this chappie, handsome chap, who decided to cable tie himself to a goalpost in a match between Everton and someone else. I think it was Wolves, I'm not sure, don't really care. And, well, he didn't do a very good job of it, did he? Because they managed to cut the cable off and he was alright. Anyway, he's been charged now with various offences, and quite rightly so as well. Idiot. Doesn't matter what you're protesting about, but something like that there's a time and a place for it all, and that ain't it. Another thing that's happened this week, which is moderately unbelievable, is the fact that P&O, who used to be a massive company back in the day, and obviously struggling now because of the Channel Tunnel and various other things, including COVID and all the other travel restrictions and everything, unceremoniously sacked 800 of their employees. Not personally, not with any warning or anything, with no warning whatsoever, by a really naff pre-recorded video sent to the individuals who were no longer employed by the company, telling them, without any warning whatsoever, you don't work here anymore, this is your last day, please leave the premises, bolt, whatever. Unbelievable, Jeff, as someone once said. I mean, it's like almost going back to the dark satanic mills, when people could literally just fire you for the sake of firing you. Talking of someone who probably could do with firing, good old Vladimir Putin. Look at him there. He was at a rally today, a huge rally. Very rare that he's out in public. I can imagine though he's got about 3, maybe 4, looking at that picture, bulletproof vests on, because he's not really that liked by his people. But they have to be nice to him, because if they don't, they disappear, or get fined, or get fined then disappear, or just disappear and get fined and then disappear. Anyway, either way, yeah, he was there and they're all cheering him and all saying what a wonderful person he was. But not everyone thinks he's a wonderful person. This very brave lady on the state-run news held up this banner behind the newscaster saying in English, no war, and then in Russian basically saying that the war is, you're being lied to, the war is a thing that Russia's doing. And basically, I'm amazed she's still alive. She was an editor for the official government-run news channel. Sadly lost her job. She got fined and got arrested. But she's still around and she can still do interviews and talks and things. But I mean, you've got to have kahunas on you in order to do something like that. I'll be honest with you, I was more than a little bit impressed. I was more impressed with the picture I took of it when it was on, which is way too big. I was that impressed, I put myself in the newsroom because it was that big. This is my picture that I took, and I just think it looks like the newscaster is auditioning for, apart from the fact she's in white, this part, but black on the jacket, for the remake of the Robert Palmer Addicted to Love video. All she needs is a guitar, and then she's got the pout and everything, and the hair, so yeah, that'd be fabulous. Darling. Anyway, sadly it wasn't, so we have to put up with the picture that was issued by the other people about it. Anyway, we digress. Don't forget to join in the chat if you want to. You don't have to, but it's just fun if you do, isn't it? Let's just move that there and we'll swap that across. What else has gone on? Oh yeah, well, obviously we've had loads and loads more horrendous stuff going on with in Ukraine. But we've got a guy who is an absolute hero, the president of Ukraine, who was on a massive TV talking to the American Congress this week, which was, again, an impressive thing to do. Last week he was talking to the British Parliament. This week he's talking to the American Congress to say, look, you need to give us more help than what you're giving us. What you need to do is you need to stop the, create a no-fly zone, because it's the missiles and the aeroplanes and the bombing that's causing the damage. They can seem to cope quite well with the, the land thing, invasion. They seem to be coping with that. They seem to be holding that back. But the thing that's getting them all at the minute is the bombing and everything else. So just checking that anyone had written anything, and it not come up, but no one's written anything. Don't forget you can join in. You can agree, disagree, whatever. But we can't do a no-fly zone, which is really annoying, because I kind of feel for these guys. But what can you do? Well, President Biden, you know him, Mr. Has pledged $800 million to buy weapons for Ukraine, which is nice. What's Boris been up to? Well, bumbling Boris. He's been to Saudi Arabia to ask the, the ever-caring people of Haya, FN Fan 1. He's been asking the Abu Dhabi and Saudi Arabia, that's the one, to basically produce more oil and gas. I say produce. They don't produce it. It's in the ground. They just get more out to try and stop the reliance on Russia. So instead of using oil from Russia, which is a totalitarian state with very bad track records on human rights, including on gays, homosexuals, individual freedom, and other things, is going to a totalitarian state with unbelievably bad human rights abuses, including executing over 80 of its own citizens this week. It's just a very bizarre thing to do. Okay, well, it's like, I know it's a rock and a hard place, and I hate to say this, but we've got plenty of gas in England that we could get ourselves. The only problem is it involves fracking. But what do people want? Do they want to pay 200% more for the fuel, for their energy in 18 months' time than what they did 18 months ago? Or do we want cheaper fuel whilst we continue to get more green energy going? Anyway, the Saudi Arabians, I don't think, are going to solve the problem in any way, shape or form, unfortunately. Of course, it's not just the Saudis who are not great with human rights. Here's the president of Russia, Putin, meeting the president of China. You know China, that place with the fabulous human rights where they don't pick on any minorities. They don't make people disappear who disagree with them. They don't abuse their own citizens. They don't put them in concentration-style camps where they use them as slaves. You know, that place where they treat everyone equally and wonderfully. Well, now the Olympics are over, which is what I predicted a while ago, they've now made a comment about the Russian invasion of Ukraine, and they've basically said that they don't want to get involved. But they think peace is a better thing than not peace. Turns out that allegedly Russia's asked China for military equipment because theirs is a bit antiquated and it's getting destroyed by the Ukrainians, to help on the conquest. And the West have said that if China give any military aid whatsoever to Russia, then they will get sanctions on them as tough as the Russian sanctions, which is what I've been saying for nearly 12 months now. Don't believe me? Look at my vlogs, look at what I wrote in the paper. The problem you've got is these countries have pretended to be nice, and a lot of Western governments have thought they were nice, a lot of companies have thought they were nice, and they've all done business deals with them, which has made these countries very rich, and what they've done in the meantime is spend all that money on weapons, and decided that they are going to reshape the world. A bit like a Bond villain, which of course I've said about Vladimir Putin for a while now, particularly those pictures where he's in his chair. He just looks like he needs a furry cat, a very furry cat, to be stroking whilst he says, "Ah, Mr. Whoever, I've been expecting you." Anyway, yeah, if that happens, and we do get sanctions against China, then if you live in Wigan, that's going to make a big difference to the Wigan Town Centre, because the new town centre that's being developed is actually funded by China. So, what could go wrong? It's not all bad news, though. It's not all doom and gloom. We've got some good news this week, albeit rather bizarre. The young lady there is Nazanin Zaghira Ratcliffe, and she's been a prisoner in Iran for approximately 6 years. That's her daughter there, who's 7, who she hasn't actually seen to touch her mum or anything for that length of time. So when she was a toddler was the last time she was in her mum's arms. And her husband, who's been doing hunger strikes and publicity for the whole thing for a very, very long time indeed. Anyway, finally, last night they were reunited, and there was another family as well, also reunited with another person who'd been held in Iran for no reason whatsoever, other than it would turn out the UK owes Iran money. Now, the story of the money is Iran bought and paid for military tanks for defence, obviously, back in the 70s. Not long after the order was placed and paid for, the country went into a equivalent of a civil war. New leaders took over, and they were not the kind of people you want to give tanks to. So the British government said, you're not having any tanks because you didn't order it. It was the other government that ordered it. And they said, well, give us the money back. If we're not having the tanks, we want the money back. And they said, no, because you're going to use it to fund terrorism and blah, 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 blah. And that was like getting on for 50 years ago. There's been various regimes in Iran since. Some okay, some bonkers, and some okay again. And the one we've got at the moment is deemed to be okay. So it now seems that we've paid off this debt of $400 million. I don't know whether we've paid it with interest or whether we've just paid it at the rate it was when it was made originally back in the day. But either way, surprisingly, immediately, these two were released from prison and allowed to come home. So it wasn't paying a ransom, it was paying money we owed, but technically it was a ransom. But again, what do you do? You've got very little you can do in this that's right. It's just, well, hopefully that's the end of that. And hopefully the money will go to humanitarian things, which is what the Iranian government have said. They're not going to spend it on their nuclear ambitions, they're going to spend it on humanitarian aid and infrastructure and stuff like that. So we wait and see what happens. But watch this space. If we're still here in 10 years' time, we might be saying, oh, remember when we give Iran that 400 million, and now look at them, they're overthrowing everyone in the Middle East. Anyway, who am I to say anything like that, eh? A lady has won the Cheltenham Cup, the Cheltenham Gold Cup no less, today. Rachel Blackmore is the first lady horse rider, jockey, ever to win the Cheltenham Gold Cup. Now apparently that's a big thing. I wouldn't know because I don't follow horse racing, but it's certainly worth mentioning and highlighting at this moment in time. So congratulations to her and well done, and congratulations to all the people there. They were all huddled together, very close indeed, and spreading, of course, COVID everywhere, because COVID is back. I say it's back, it never went anywhere. But there's more people who've got COVID now than have had it for a very long period of time, and that doesn't include the fact that people are not going for PCR tests because you don't have to, and it doesn't go for the fact that you can't get lateral flow tests very easily either. Yet we've still got more people with it, and the hospitals are slowly getting fuller admitted, not as much as they were last time we had these numbers with it. But who would have thought that lifting all restrictions and saying, if you know you've got COVID and you test positive for COVID, then you don't have to, by law, stay at home. Which means people have gone to work, people have gone to school, people have gone shopping, people have gone on buses, and they've not had masks on because Boris says they don't have to wear a mask again. It's insane, and we are starting to feel the pain from it now. Now, they reckon that this is a little blip, and it should be over and done with fairly quickly, and it's not going to cause any major issues. But the problem you've got is, if the NHS staff end up going off again, we're going to end up with more people who have their operations put off, and the whole point of what we're trying to do now is to get the people who've had their operations put off have their operations, so we can reduce the waiting list of millions down to a more manageable level. But, you know, Boris knew best. As I said, I've kept the masks on in the shop, literally, and I've also said on a sign that I put in the window, we don't listen to Boris, listen to the experts. Have you ever seen doctors walking around without masks on? When they stop doing it, then we can stop doing it. But if you've got your 3 jabs, well, that is waning now, the power of that, so you'll need another jab in a month or 2. If you've only had 2 jabs, 1 jab and no jab, then obviously that's going to be stronger against you if you do catch COVID. But because people know they've got COVID and don't care, and then walk around giving it to everyone else, willy and nilly, then this is what we get. We just get this madness that creeps up on us. Talking of madness, F1's back this weekend, and I'm moderately excited. A lot of people are not excited about it because they say that it's not what it used to be. The sportsmanship between Max Verstappen pictured and Lewis Hamilton, who you know what he looks like, you've seen enough of him. Sir Lewis Hamilton, I do apologise, must respect him, it says somewhere, are going to be battling it out again. And I must admit, last year it was quite dirty, but it was only the same or very similar to what happens with Senna and Prost back in the day. It's the kind of sport it is, means that the drivers crash into each other. And these new cars, with their alleged ability, we haven't seen it yet because we haven't had a race, but there's a possibility that they'll be able to race closer behind each other. The whole reason for this new shape of car is that if you're in the slipstream of the car, so you're behind the car, oh, well, I've got cars here. There we go. Well, you won't see this because it's Yoshi, which is green, so you can't see it. But anyway, we'll go with that, and we will go with, oh, here we go, my favourite driver of all time, Lewis Hamilton. So this is obviously an old car when Lewis Hamilton was with, is this Mercedes? No, this isn't Mercedes, is it? Is it? Yeah, it is Mercedes. So it's when he first started with Mercedes. I honestly thought this was when he was with McLaren. But anyway, it's a Mercedes car, one of his early ones. So, when you were behind the car in front, and you got to a certain distance, you couldn't steer your car properly, and you kind of slowed down, and it was all a bit rubbish and a bit naff. So what they've done is they've redesigned the Formula 1 car so that in theory you can get practically like they do on NASCAR. You can practically get right up to the car and then just whip out and overtake it. So the idea is that there's going to be more overtaking, which makes it more exciting for the viewers, and it'll make it better. But it'll also mean there'll be more crashes, particularly at the first few races, because they're not used to being able to do that. Now, it's whether they actually get sucked into the back of the car in front, we don't know yet because they've not raced in anger with each other, or whether it's just more of a gentle tow and then they pull out. But when they pull out, so they're behind the car and they pull out to overtake, will the drag of the wind from the side of the car that they're overtaking interfere with the car? We don't know. But either way, they're trying to make it more interesting for viewers and, to be fair, for the drivers as well. Now, one thing the cars are doing, it's called porpoising. Now, where the hell they got the name porpoising from, I don't know. I would have called it dolphining, but that's probably a worse word. Basically, the cars, when they're going down the straight, are going that fast that the suspension starts going up and down. So if you look on the on-view camera, the car is literally bouncing like that. Now, if you've ever driven over bumps at speed, maybe speed bumps, or we come into a roundabout, something like that, it's not the most comfortable thing in the world. But imagine being sat on the floor of an F1 car doing 250 mile an hour. That's gonna hurt for 75 laps on a straight and other corners and other straights as well. So there might be 2 or 3 straights on a racetrack where it porpoises. So it's definitely going to affect the driver's ability to, not get tired, I'll be honest. Obviously this is a very old car because it doesn't have on it the halo, which is still there, the protection, which did save Lewis Hamilton's life, or certainly serious injury when he had the crash with Max Verstappen at Imola last year. Someone recently said that they're not watching F1 ever again because when that happened, Max Verstappen got out of his car and kind of just glanced over at Lewis and then kept walking and didn't go and check he was okay. Because when he went over, his rear wheel hit Hamilton's head. Well, I'm like, if you're crashing a car and you've got wing mirrors the size of a cigarette packet and you can't see the bottom of your wheel, then you're not going to know that wheel has hit Lewis's head. In fact, none of us knew that wheel had hit Lewis's head until we saw the slow motion replay. And when Max Verstappen got out of the car, Lewis was trying to get his car from underneath Max Verstappen. He had it in reverse and spraying all the pebbles everywhere, so you wouldn't go near him. at the best of times. And what's the difference between that and when Lewis and Max crashed at Silverstone, and they, Max ended up hitting the barrier at, what was it, 8G, 10G, something like that, sideways. And when Lewis won the race, he didn't mention anything about the accident or anything. He was just celebrating with his fans, because the British fans and all that kind of stuff. And he knew what had happened instantly. So, there are parallels. These are racing drivers. These guys want to win. Not at all costs, but certainly at severe costs. And more power to them, I say. I like watching racing where people are prepared to take risks. We don't want to see anyone hurt or worse, but we certainly want to see bumps and things. That's the only reason I started watching Formula 1 back in the days of James Hunt and Niki Lauda, which again was very fraught, and a lot of action went on and off the track. It was amazing times. If you ever get a chance, watch the film Rush. It is brilliant. Everything about it is really good. I mean, the actors look like James Hunt and Niki Lauda. The action on the track, the way it was filmed, is superb. But it also tells you the story of what happened behind the scenes. All we ever saw was what Murray Walker was going on about on the track. But obviously there was a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes as well. And you kind of forget that these drivers know each other outside of racing. Although, to be fair, at the moment, the new young breed, they're always playing golf together or online together. Max Verstappen, Lando Norris, Charles Leclerc, George Russell, and others. They're all mates off the track, but on the track, obviously, you're there to win. You're not there to lose. So, yeah, Formula 1 is back, and I am excited. However, I would never watch it on Sky. Never. Even if Sky was free, I wouldn't watch it on Sky. I watch it on Channel 4 because, well, for a start, it's the highlights, and as much as I love Formula 1, it can be a bit boring watching a whole race for 2 hours where nothing happens. But the highlight show, you get to see the best of the action in a concise, well-presented way, and then you have good, fun interviews at the end of it. Whereas with Sky, how the hell Jolyon Palmer and Martin Brundle have got the right to criticise anyone for their driving on a Formula 1 track, when I don't think between them they won any races. Brundle did, he didn't win many. Certainly didn't win a championship. I know they've now got Jenson Button, but no, I wouldn't watch them if they were free, which they have been sometimes, and I didn't watch them. So there you go. Proves my point. So you lot are not talking. I've only have FN fan saying hi, and no one else has said a word today. So either you 100% agree with everything I've said, and I've said a lot. I've said that Putin is personically evil, that China and Russia better be careful if they become proper friends, that we dodged a bullet, or rather a tsunami, with the earthquake in Tokyo. Not in Tokyo, sorry, in Japan. That the P&O ferry company and the way they treated their staff is criminal, especially when you get a video message with a guy dressed in a bad suit and an ill-fitting tie and so badly lit as well. I mean, this programme might be stuck together with sellotape and a bit of glue, but it does look more professional than that. The horse race winning lady, what was she called? Rachel Blackmore? Blackmore? Yeah, something like that. Did very well. We talked about her. We talked about everyone's favourite singer, Ed Sheeran, and how sexy he looks in a mask. It's a joke, by the way. We also talked about the bravery of a Russian news editor who stood behind on a live broadcast of the state-owned, state-run propaganda machine, saying that it was all lies that they were watching, the people at home. We also discussed this idiot here who cable-tied himself to a goalpost at the Everton football match last night. Yeah, genius, mate. I sat there thinking, maybe not a good idea. We also discussed Bojo going to a place where human rights are highly treasured in order to try and get some more oil and gas. Spot the sarcasm. And the freedom, finally, of, I never get this right, Nazanin Zaghari Ratcliffe, who was imprisoned in Iran for 6 years. Possibly not helped by the fact that a few years ago Boris Johnson said she was only there teaching people about politics or something like that, which she wasn't. She was visiting her mother. But the Iranians said that she was a spy and she was doing this, that and the other, and then Boris comes out with that blunder. But I mean, what do we expect? It's Boris. If he isn't blundering, then we've got to think something's up. So yeah, them are the things we've discussed, and also the fact as well that the president of Ukraine is someone who I would like to be president of the world. I'm going to put that out there. I think we should make him the president of the whole world. This guy is, well, he's got spuds that you can see from outer space. He's a farmer. He's just brilliant, and yeah, I think he should be made president, the first president of the world. I think that'd be fair. And then the demise of what is known as refill stores. I didn't get the name before, but they're called refill stores, where you take jars in and you very unhygienically tip them out of containers into your peripheral and then pay for the goods that you put in your jar or whatever, and there's no packaging, excess packaging, apart from the jar, obviously. I mean, probably should do is just put them in your pocket, although that probably classes thieving, I don't know. And then we ended up with a bit of a rant about Formula 1, which is back this weekend. So yeah, absolutely no chat whatsoever. Now, some weeks when I do this, there's just reams of chat, but this week, nothing. Oh, there is reams of chat. Oh, hang on a minute. Why is it not showing up here? Right then. Right, I Patrick, Angela, that must have taken its toll on all the three of the family. Yes, we're talking about Nazine. There might be a song coming out for charity. Way to go, Lady Horse Rider. By Mary Helen Timber Choir. Nice. Yes, Patrick, you're right, but we don't use naughty words. Angela says didn't have one today at hospital. Also, the car's on fat. I need to go on a diet. Fat Cars 2011. M46 McLaren's Mercedes. Oh, you recognised it. It's from a sea creature. I don't know what that is. Not quite to do with ground effects. It's so powerful it pushes the car down. When it hits the floor, it stalls the car and shoots up. Oh well, whatever. It's all good fun as far as I'm concerned. I'm going to shrink that down though, so I can shrink that across if I can. Yeah, we can shrink that across. Move that over there. Disgusting treatment of those poor people who work on ferries. Lovely man. Now, I'm watching it on this, and none of that has come up. So there's me saying you're all being quiet today, and oh, you can see it or not even. There you go. Where's the chat on it? There it is. There's the chat, and all you can see there is nothing. It's not that side, it's that side. Nothing there at all in the chat. How annoying is that? Grr. I'm angered. Grr, I'm going to turn it off. I'm that angry. Get rid of that. Go away. So, right, oh, I've lost me. I've lost you again. Where have you gone? Where have you gone? Where have you gone? Oh, there you are. Oh, no, you've gone. You've gone. You're back. No, you've gone. Now you're back. So, yeah, that's what we've been discussing then. We've been discussing... hang on, I need to sort this out. Maybe I need to set it up like this for next time, so I know what I can do. There we go. Yeah, that works. That works perfectly. That looks really well. Right, I'm going to do this from now on. Really good tonight. Well, it was really good, apart from the first bit that was really rubbish. So let's go back to the brave woman who basically lost a job, and thankfully nothing else. It's going to be Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday for the shop, because there's been a slight delay in where I can put the stuff. But that lady there has got gentleman's regions bigger than most gentlemen I know. I mean, to do that on state-owned broadcast TV owned by the actual very same. Wrong way. Well, it's just owned by Vladimir, and she did that. I mean, unbelievable, and still alive to tell the tale. So yeah, I was more than impressed with that young lady, and again, I think she is a war hero in her own way. Obviously, no one believes what went on because the Russians are all brainwashed. And then we've got that guy, I think, who cable tied himself. At least, I mean, you know, you've got to go about fashion, haven't you? At least the actual cable tie and the shirt matched. Some thought went into that. I mean, other people might have said he could have pulled the cable tie a bit tighter, but I wouldn't say that because that'd be cruel. Something to do with oil. That's why he did it. I don't understand quite what, because it's not to do with oil prices. Sadly, I don't think you're wrong there, DC. Well, I don't like kill, but certainly she'll disappear. And there we go. There's Bozo bozing around with the Saudi Arabians. Like I say, they've got a really cool human rights legacy thing going on. So let's just sort that picture out. It's too made in at the minute. There we go. It's got, you know, they've got really good human rights stuff, much better than the Russians. I mean, you know, they never beheaded anyone, or oh yeah, okay then. And then yeah, the family. I mean, this picture here, you know, it's probably the happiest picture that we're going to see this month and possibly this year. I just hope that the family can actually get over what's happened to them and get a life. You know, the shock of getting back together again after being away for so long is quite scary. He's had a hair trim, has he? Are we on about Boris here? Oh, he has. He's had a haircut. I didn't even notice that. Let's have a. Let's click on that, and then we'll make that bigger, and then we'll do that. He has indeed. He's had a proper haircut. Go, Boris. I mean, literally go. Just don't stop. Do not collect £200. Just go. Yeah, Boris has had a haircut. Well spotted. I didn't spot that, I'll be honest. He's in Blackpool tomorrow. The Conservative Conference is on at the moment. And he's there doing his Conservative Conference speaking. Well, it's a spring conference. It's not the full conference. They're having it in Blackpool at the Winter Gardens because the government paid lots of money. We'll pay for that. What, the haircut? Yeah, we will. You're right. Every haircut we pay for. I need a haircut as well, to be fair, but that's another story for another day that I'll never tell you. This is much better with this thing wicking here, so we will keep with this from now on. Yeah, the disgust of the P&O company. I imagine the founders of the P&O company would be spinning in their graves of what's happened to their staff and the name of their company as well. I mean, yeah, everyone's struggling after the pandemic. We get that. But to treat people the way that they've been treated is unbelievable. And that's actually an old picture looking at it because it's got the old logo on it. The A, the and now, which is, if I do this right, that there, the and, is now more like an anchor on its side with the O. So maybe that's why they've got no money, because they redesigned the logo and they had to paint the ships and they're massive. So maybe they're, yeah. But either way, you can't treat people like that. It's just shockingly bad. And like I say, the quality of the video as well was very poor as well. I mean, it could at least clean the lens before he filmed it. I mean, just absolutely no respect for humans. Unlike Vladimir, who will respect all humans, he will expect all humans to respect him, otherwise they'll disappear. So, yeah, there you go. And then, like I said before, the President of the World elect. Him. There wasn't even a video call. It was a pre-recorded Zoom thing, which he then sent everyone. Which is, what's going on there? I thought my head was falling. I thought my head was coming out. I thought that my little robot thing was coming out my head. Well, anyway, apparently not. We're fine. Don't worry. So, normally do this for about 30 minutes, and I think we're on a bit more than that today. Yeah, I don't know how to say it, so that's why I don't say his name. But he is a top guy, and you know, why can't all politicians be like him? That's why I think he should be world politician. So, do this for normally half an hour. We've done it for 40 minutes. I apologise for thinking you weren't talking when you were talking, but I've set it up different now. So hopefully next week this will work better. And we will be able to, I'll be able to see what you're saying, and we'll probably have more of a conversation while I'm talking about the stuff, rather than me kind of having to recap it all. Yeah, this war always brings out the best and worst in people, and at the moment, he's definitely the one person that the whole world can get behind. But at the end of the day, he was not even a politician. He's a comedian stroke actor. So, there's hope for me yet. Can you imagine me being Prime Minister? Oh my God. We still have masks everywhere. Because, yeah, that reminds me actually. We were talking about COVID. And how it's coming back into the news. Even though it's never gone away. Cases up in Wigan by 200% in the last week or two. Cases nationally up by well over 100%. Hospitalisations going up, but not rapidly, but they are going up. Your vaccinations and your boosters and all that, their effectiveness is waning now. So if you do catch it, although it's a light variant of it, if you're at risk group, it's going to be more serious than it would have been when you first had your vaccinations. And now Boris has decided to whatchamacallit? What's he decided to do? Reduce, take away all restrictions from people entering the country. Because it's gone so well so far. Yeah, brilliant. Well done. Go Boris. Like I said before, we've got to bear in mind that... why is that not working? We've got to bear in mind that at the end of the day, COVID is going to be with us for a while. It's going to be with us probably for certainly my lifetime. More than likely most of your lifetimes as well. And there's nothing we can do about that. That's just the way it is. And we just have to grin and bear it, which is not possibly what you want to hear, but it's the only thing that we can do. But what we need to do is... there we go. What you need to do is you need to put some permanent restrictions in to reduce the spread of it. Because if you can literally get a positive test and then ignore it and carry on as normal, no mask, going out, going to work, going to school, going to college, getting on the bus, going on a train with no mask, even though you know you've got it and you can't get done for it, then there's something very wrong in this world, which is why you don't want me as Prime Minister, because I wouldn't have that. I would have masks mandatory. Particularly up to, well, round about now every year. When spring comes, we can probably get rid of the masks for a time being, unless there's a new variant comes along. But certainly when it's cold, wet and windy, we need to have masks on because we're all inside. And it just gets madder and madder and madderer. Anyway, that's it. So we will leave it there, I think. I've done 45 minutes, maybe more. Nope, nearly 45 minutes. So... thank you very much for watching. Thank you for your interactions. DC number 9, Angela O'Kane, Patrick Wild, and FN FN Fan 1. Yep, thank you very much for your input. And that is it for this week. All being well, we'll see you again next week for another What a Week That Was. But this was What a Week That Was. I do have Discord. Hang on. This is What a Week That Was for this week. And I'll see you next week for What a Week That Was, to see what the week coming was by the time it's this time next week. I think. I don't know. Anyway, thanks for watching. You take care. Have a good one. Till next time.